clicked play, and all of a sudden, I'm talking only to you. You're probably wondering, should I be in the chat? The answer is yes. If you're asking, why is it so cavernous in there? And the answer is because I haven't invited you up until now. You're like a vampire in this scenario. I am officially inviting you in to the chat. If you're late, it's not too late. Just be here next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Central, 2:30 Pacific. Oh, look, I'm nailing it, crushing it. What is this place? Let me introduce you to my coterie of salt and pepper bearded friends. That is, I collect them like Pokemon. You ever read The Glass Menagerie? It's about a middle-aged man named Brian Brushwood and all of his salt and pepper bearded friends. This particular facet of the dodecahedron is a show called Cordkillers. 17 years. 17 years we've been covering this beat. It's unreal. It's unreal how long we've been covering the cord cutting revolution. Do you like movies? Do you like TV shows? Do you like picking winners and losers? Do you like dunking on chumps? You're going to love Cordkillers. What if TV was a battleground? Guess what? It was. We've seen cords get murdered. Pretend I'm doing the Rutger Hauer speech from Blade Runner right now. I've seen things you wouldn't believe. Cord cutting on the shoulder of Orion. Time to die, said Comcast. Get out of here. Anyway, the show's great. You're going to love it. It might seem like we're trying to be newsy. It's only because we're very newsy.
That's
my
fault.
How are you, Tom?
I'm good.
How's that?
I'm more salt than pepper now, but happy to be here.
Meanwhile, I was just saying before we went live that I accidentally shaved off my beard, which is a weird thing to say.
Did you trip with a razor in your hand and then it just like
okay? So I got out of the shower and I picked up the razor. I was like, oh, you got to put on the adjustable thingy. And I put on the adjustable thingy and I adjusted it to kind of side length. I was like, oh, that's kind of short. And then my mustache was gone. I was like, that's really short. I was like, well, I'll keep the goatee. I've done this before. I made this mistake. Click, click, click. And oh dear. My goatee is gone. And I looked and it was not in the groove. So I was just like, it was
just
good.
You were like barefaced. You were making yourself a bare face.
I looked and it said baby butt. I don't know. I didn't know that was a setting. I don't know why you would be shaving a baby's butt.
And why that's the default setting if things are not properly set up.
It was pretty weird. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. The best part is when someone tried to diaper your face shortly afterwards.
That's going to be my new name.
Baby butt bri.
Oh, baby butt
They
bri.
call him Quadruple B. Baby butt bri.
Oh, man.
How's your face, Amos?
It was expecting, you want me on that cord. You need me on that cord.
Oh, that's right. because my beard, as repugnant as its salt and pepper may be, serves you. I forget how it goes.
They're like tears in the stream.
Tears in the stream.
To cancel.
Time to cancel.
Someone's got to cut it. Who's gonna do it? You, Lieutenant Weinberg.
You can't handle the subscription.
You can't handle the phone tree. You'll never get to a customer service rep. You'll end up subscribed for 3 more years.
Deep down inside,
Next thing you know, you got one of these. You got a plain old telephone service. You're locked in for another 10 years.
Oh my gosh. So I have cable internet because that is the fastest I can get in this location. They are constantly trying to make me take their phone. They're like, please just take a phone. We'll give it to you for free. You can set it up or not. Just take it. We just want to be able to count one more subscriber in our earnings report, please. Yep. Just do it. It's rude that I keep saying no, actually. I feel bad.
I mean, at some point, you're just, being mean.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shucks. All right. Are we ready?
Who are they hurting?
Are we ready to do a show, gents?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Tell them you take the phone only if it's got the rotary. Ask them if they have a rotary option.
You know what? This is a project I keep threatening to do, is put a Raspberry Pi in there and put an LLM on there and then make it so that you pick up that little doodad and it goes operator, and then you just say who you want to contact. And then
it
dials them, but then it answers it. It's just like, you have a call from Brian Brushwood. Will you accept?
I used to get radio requests from a guy in prison that way.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, you always accepted the charges, right? Because it's
it was like, you have a call from Metallica,
So-and-so.
Ride the Lightning.
Oh, really? So he would embed.
Do you want to accept the charges? Nope. Click.
You did the Bob, we had a baby, it's a boy.
Yes. Yeah, basically.
All right. Well, Ryan, let us know when we're ready to jump on in.
Let's do it. It's a little weird that if somebody in prison would be asking for Ride the Lightning.
Yeah. Because he didn't play Johnny Cash.
Oh, yeah. We stopped playing country at 8 p.m. So. My friends, welcome to Cordkillers. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we're just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Brian Brushwood is here to help us find the good stuff.
Oh, man, it's great to be a guest on this program. I keep waiting for your regular co-host to come back, but I'll just keep filling in as long as you need me, Tom.
Yeah, that's same for me. Whenever the regular hosts of this show take over.
Boy, won't that be great? Just it'll be Molly Wood and Justin Robert Young will just show up.
Yeah, thanks to Tom and Brian for filling in for us for the past 15 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Well, this is a post-apocalyptic landscape of entertainment, television, and movies, and we are navigating it by beginning with a supply run.
Supply run, supply run, supply run.
CNBC, a Versant property, conducted its Future of Television survey. It does this every so often, asking media executives, what do you think is going to happen at the TV market in 3 years? 3 years from now, where do you think TV will be? 3 years ago, they were saying, well, it'll all be Quibi. No, here are a few common themes from CNBC's Future of TV survey. A lot of the executives feel that television advertisements will start to be targeted more like online ads. So in other words, when you buy a razor, you'll now see 30 ads for that razor on your streaming TV shows. What they said was they should feel more relevant and less interruptive, which when targeting is working properly, that's how it's supposed to work. Your mileage may vary on that, but I don't find that one to be too controversial. Content will become less constrained by language and geography. So they expect in 3 years, a lot of languages to be translated on the fly, and even something that Brian's talked about several times on the show, content being tailored to a location easier. It depends on the show, obviously, but where the location isn't exactly the most important part of the story, you might swap out that Dunkin' Donuts for a Dutch Brothers or a Cha GT or whatever makes it feel more like it's local to you. And then the eternal promise, Brian, shopping from your TV will become common. And you know why these executives think shopping from your TV will become common, Brian?
Why?
Because they can make a lot of money off it if it actually ends up being true. I don't know how many people are going to shop from their TV, but if you make it easy enough, maybe. And we're getting closer to making it easy enough. What do you think of this forecast?
So, okay, let me go in reverse. That shop from your TV thing, I read a book recently that I just loved. It's called Pitch Anything, and it's about what it's like to pitch to venture capitalists and about how, you've got X amount of time, you got to make an impression and so on and so on and so on. When he needed to seize the dumbest idea he could that was played out a million times over. He said, shopping from TV. Some content's on, you could just click on it and buy that thing. It was,
Yeah.
I was like, how long has that trope been around that's the go-to gotcha one? So I am not bullish on that because, in general, when we're in fantasy land in our heads and we're experiencing a narrative that takes us away, we don't want that narrative, that spell, to be broken so that we can immediately buy it. Now, that is true for our narrative fiction stuff. Maybe not the same for YouTube. For YouTube, we are sitting having a conversation, and the fantasy is that we are with somebody we love. For example, all of the fine denizens of Chat Realm who are sitting in the chat this very moment with your best friends, Brian and Tom. But in that case, we could recommend some products, usually from scamstuff.com or the Daily Tech News Show.
Yeah, it is an example of one of those features where the people making it want it to happen very badly. It doesn't not make sense, and therefore they want to make it happen. It is not answering a demand. You do not hear a lot of people talking about television going, you know what I've been waiting for? The ability to buy the stuff when on TV that I'm watching. I think you're right. There may be some niche situations where it does catch on. There's certainly situations where I've looked up something because I'm watching a concert or a reality TV show, and I'm like, that's a cool shirt. Where is that shirt? Again, I can do that. I can do that with my phone. I can do that with my voice assistant. Like, hey, can you find this for me? Can you order it for me? I don't know if I need my TV to do it, right? And I don't know that that's the best situation, but maybe they'll crack it. Maybe they'll figure out a way where it's like, oh, actually, yes, that is the way I would like to do it.
The way I can see it working is a little bit more creepy and sinister. It's not that the TV will tell you could buy this jacket. It's that the TV will know you watched this program in which the main character wears this jacket. Then articles will find their way to you talking about how, wondering what jacket he's wearing, it's this one.
Sure.
And
that already happens, right?
Exactly. And that's the reason I'm telling that story, is because that's how I came to purchase the jacket that Joel wears in season 1 of The Last of Us. So that already happens. I can see that turning up. I can also see, and this is also
although that's not shopping directly from the TV, so it's a different thing than what these guys were saying. But yeah,
I am not bullish on shopping directly from the TV. But I am bullish on, let's say you are a sponsor and you know all of the peripherally tangential, like all of us exist as a data set, and I can picture somebody saying, hey, our customers like all of these other things. Don't advertise our thing in your show, but using AI wizardry, just this brand of drink, this type of all of the tchotchkes, the peripheral, non-plot related things, make all of those cozy. So if there's a character that, let's say ultimately you want to sell Joel's jacket, then you probably want Joel playing Hearthstone. If it's it doesn't matter what app he's playing, he's just playing an app. Great. Our data says Brian likes Hearthstone, so make it Hearthstone. Or it's like, he drives a car. We don't care what car it is. Make it a Jeep, and. That part I could kind of see, but that won't be the headline. That'll be the expose.
Yeah. There were some other things in here that I didn't mention because I think they're ones, at least for people who join us on Cordkillers regularly, seem obvious. Traditional cable will keep shrinking, but it will not hit bottom in 3 years. So I think that's perfectly reasonable. Like, everybody knows it's shrinking, but it's not going to go away in 3 years, right? We will not come to the bottom of cable television. It's going to be a slow bleed out over probably the next decade.
Agreed.
They also didn't think free ad supported streaming television will peak in the next 3 years, that it will continue to grow. That one may be a little more controversial. Maybe some people feel like it's already peaked. But these executives are like, no, that one's going to continue to grow. And I kind of think they're right there.
I agree.
Streaming evolving into bundles. Everybody was talking about bundles. I think that's just kind of obvious. And sports remaining the most valuable content in TV, I think, is a no-brainer because whether you like sports or not, a lot of people like sports, and it's the kind of thing that is best consumed live. And so it is a differentiator because then you get everyone watching at the same time, which is a different proposition for advertisers to sell to them than it is for on-demand content. And you can put advertisements in it for people who paid for a service without advertising, because while a few of you get very angry about that, most people just brush it off. Like, yeah, I'm watching live sports. Of course I'm seeing an ad.
Yeah, there is something baked into, and to be honest, like, so this is an interesting aspect of a lot of sports. There is a baked in boring part of the game. At a live event, they have to cover it up by playing music that you like or hiring acts to come out and keep you busy during the boring parts.
Yeah.
Weirdly,
shoot cannons t-shirts into the audience or whatever. Yeah.
But weirdly, it's a service that it's like, give me literally anything to look at except for them reviewing the instant replay yet again. So that seems culturally to be fine. I do think it's an interesting move to essentially, if the question is, where is this bus going? For predictions, we go to the bus drivers. Do you have any predictions on where we're going? Oh, I think maybe this way. In theory, they should all know for sure where we're headed, but I think it's funny that they don't.
Let's pick at random some of these responses, because I sort of summarized the basic responses across all the different executives. But they asked them, what's one thing that will become a TV industry standard in 3 years that doesn't exist today? And Anjali Sood, the CEO of Tubi, that is Fox's free ad-supported service, said, I think you'll see ads get way more useful in the same way they have on social media. If you think about the experience today on television, it still largely feels like the ads are not personalized. You can imagine a world where you can see such hyper-personalization that really gets to a place where what you see as an ad doesn't feel interruptive or like friction. It just feels like, wow, that was really helpful and useful because you know me so well.
Yeah. That's interesting to me because I really dislike when I can sniff that something is targeted at me. And I think that everybody believes that other people love it, but I don't know that anybody has told me that they love it. In fact, cordkillers@gmail.com. When you get a creepily targeted ad, do you experience that wave of gratitude that they're describing? Are you thankful that it gets you and knows you so well?
Well, how do you know? Why is it creepy? I feel like is the reason it's not properly targeted. If it's properly targeted, it probably doesn't feel creepy because you're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about that. That's cool. I like that. When it's targeted wrong, it's telling you about a thing you already know you like and know how to get. Right.
I'll give you.
Maybe the message needs to be massaged. So it's not like, well, yeah, it knows I like Last of Us and it knows I bought that jacket, so it's trying to sell me another piece of Last of Us clothing. But I feel like proper targeting makes you go like, oh, that's interesting. And you don't think it's creepy.
Yeah, I tried to plan a surprise party for my wife's 40th involving a ski trip. And I made the mistake of using a shared family computer. And in fact, actually, when I was not even on that computer and they were not even on my account, it correctly sniffed out that probably is from the same household or whatever, and just about screwed up the whole event. So, and plus also, like, it's very weird. If I search for something at a completely unrelated PC, my wife just knows. Which, I mean, luckily I ain't in the business of keeping secrets. But
right, but that's bad targeting. Like it's not giving a message to the right person then, right? And this is not me trying to defend what Sood was saying. I'm saying like proper targeting is not as easy as she's making it sound. Like, I don't know that we have proper targeting. I know social media is very good at it in its messages, like getting you the messages that are going to make you engage. But I don't know that the advertising works as well.
I do worry that it is different this time, specifically because now you could just roll compute to be more precise in the targeting. And I worry about, like, for example, let's say instead of clumsily pitching things to my wife that are related to what I'm searching, what if instead a little bit of, you just add a second layer of recursion, and now Brian searches for a thing and they say, what are the things to push to his partner that will cause him to want to buy that first thing.
Yeah.
Like I do worry about that level of kind of incepting.
And large language models are very good at doing a thing that search could not, which is understanding your context and saying, well, I think the reason you're asking it is this, so let me give you this answer, versus search, which just goes, well, PageRank says this is the answer. Here you go, Brian. More shoes. And you're like, no, I already bought shoes. I don't need that. So maybe with LLMs in the mix, they'll get better at going, oh, I think we understand that Brian is buying this for his wife. Don't serve it in all those places because we also understand that they share this computer account, and maybe that'll help improve it as well.
My favorite.
Let's go to another one from.
Hold on, real quick on that same question.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Hirsch, he said, we'll continue to see major advancements in language, and I think you'll have a world where it's content without borders, where AI will allow platforms to allow consumers to watch content in their native language, subbing and dubbing or over, blah, 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 blah. And then it just says, of note, this was also Hirsch's answer 3 years ago. So I do love points for consistency.
Yeah. I was a little ahead last time, but this time, for sure, in 3 years, you'll be able to do this. And honestly, the technology to make it happen has improved tremendously in the past 3 years. John Landgraf, chairman of FX, said, day and date global releases to us seem to be a really important evolution in the television ecosystem. There's still going to be shows that premiere primarily in one market or one territory, say North America, Asia, or Europe. But I think increasingly what you're seeing is the biggest shows premiere everywhere in the world at the same time.
Yeah. I wonder if culturally, like technologically, yeah, we could do that. But culturally, there are different best times to premiere things. Premiering something in February in the United States feels different than in China, where it's the Chinese New Year. Same thing for our holiday season or whatever. So I think that there might be good cultural reasons to preserve some things that we're doing, but that's a little bit outside of the scope.
I'm going to say this only because it's self-serving. But Jeffrey Zucker says, I think we'll see more and more podcasters and live streaming shows licensed to cable networks. And I say, put your money where your mouth is, Mr. Zucker. Prove to me it's true.
You could just, in memo, put for killing those chords.
Yes, exactly. So they asked about sports, like is sports in a ratings bubble? And of course, Jimmy Pitaro from ESPN said no. But Brian Fuhrer from Nielsen said, it's really important to understand that Nielsen has made some methodological improvements that impact sports and everything in general, but in particular sports. The number one thing there is we've expanded our out-of-home measurement. Home markets are super important to sports rates. So we have seen increases directly attributable to that enhancement that we expect to continue. But we won't see a big year-to-year bump. So they're saying, yes, we did see a big bump, but Nielsen's saying one of the reasons we did it is because now when you watch in the bar, it counts, and it didn't used to. And guess what? People watch sports in a bar quite a bit. So that definitely brought up the numbers.
You know, I can't believe I'm saying this, Tom, especially for how I used to talk about sports ball, 10 years ago. But I think sports might be one of the most important cultural forces in the world now, because I am a big proponent of just literally any kind of shared reality. And sports is essentially a random number generator. But for very good moneyed interest reasons, we make sure that it is a very secure, very true random number generator. And we make absolutely certain that everybody sees the same emotionally valenced random numbers. So it used to be that news would do that, but news kind of a little bit splintered over the last, 6 years. And so I'm thankful for sports.
Especially with the rise of 24-hour news channels, which let you pick your flavor, which was kind of a flavor of news before that, but not like cable news made it happen. That allowed you to just, really spice it up.
Yeah, subject curation really allowed a fracturing of shared realities.
And granted, you can pick your flavor of sports, right? There's esports and there's racing and there, and then there's the traditional ball sports. But people tend to pick those more because they enjoy them, or others they hang out with enjoy them, versus some kind of like political reason or something like that. So there is a more natural aggregation around stuff. And I think you're right. I think it's a random number generator with built-in stories. Like if you just did a random number generator, you'd have to do a lot more work to explain to someone why they have to care about, segment 5 and build a backstory for it. And you could do that, but it's a lot of work. If you've got actual living, breathing humans, the stories are there. You just need to look for them and then find the most compelling ones and tell them as you're telling the story. And then they either fail or succeed. And guess what? Either one is a good ending to the story. So I think you're right. I think that's one of the reasons that sports works. It's actually one of the reasons that award shows work too.
Oh, yeah.
Because people want to see the success story, like who won and even a little bit who lost.
And you know what? Actually, hold on. Let me double down and go even more crazy. Where it's like there have been times I've been not kind to award shows, but I think those are important because in order to care about the award show, what's the thing we all do? We essentially, all the nominees become a canonical list of shared mythologies, shared stories that we all invest in so that we can root for one or the other, usually a reflection of how we feel about a thing. And then no matter who gets the award, now there's a new story that is, again, a shared reality where it's like, do we think that the movie got robbed? I'm looking at you, Saving Private Ryan, 1999. You shouldn't have lost to Shakespeare in Love. The Weinsteins did you dirty. But my point being...
See, you do like movies that aren't from 1994.
Yeah. World's Greatest Con, people, check it out.
I'm tempted to go down other rabbit holes and just talk about live concert streaming starting to become a thing.
I like that
and
too.
Providing that same kind of bonding experience. There are some TikTok streamers who have become famous just as the person who goes to the concert and streams it for you on TikTok. So you can see your favorite band at the date you couldn't get to because it was too far or too expensive. So I think that indicates there's a demand for that kind of thing and for the community that is built around it.
You know what, Tom? It occurs to me that of all the shared realities, all politics is local and all beliefs are start with your shared tribe, which is why no matter who is hearing this and where, I want to ask, where were you at 4:30 Central this past Tuesday? Because I know where you should have been. You should have been right here with us, either at youtube.com/the Modern Rogue /Modern Rogue or at twitch.tv/Night Attack. But the point is, you should be here at church instead of out there free footing around. Put us on your TV.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And then support us by heading on over to, what's that site, Tom?
Well, it is the virtual version of the basket being passed that says, you've enjoyed Brian's sermon. Please kick a little in. Patreon.com/Cordkillers is where you need to go.
I need to be just the spicy youth pastor. Let me rap at you guys for a little bit. Let me drop some V's.
Turn this chair around. Right
there you go. Guys,
right,
I get it. We all want to be cool. There's nothing cooler than going to patreon.com and being the boss. You know who's the boss? Us. We're bossing you to go to patreon.com/Cordkillers. Keep us loud, live, and independent. Thanks, guys.
Meanwhile, we are always in search of good things to watch in the search party. In one of the more embarrassing moments in my life on Cordkillers, Brian was talking about lanterns last week, and I had no idea what he was talking about for the first 5 minutes. But now I do. It's a television series about Green Lanterns, and it's popular, Brian. Lanterns raked in 9.3 million global cross-platform viewers, 6.6 million in the U.S. alone in its first 3 days on HBO and HBO Max. And it now ranks among the top 5 series premieres on HBO Max.
Yeah, which I don't think that it's the DC-ness of this that is pushing it. I think it's the the surprisingly not DC-ness about it. You haven't taken a look at these, have you?
I haven't dived in, but I've heard plenty of unconnected people telling me like, yeah, have you seen Lanterns? It's great. You should watch it.
I'm kind of dreading when it becomes comic booky. You know, my favorite parts of I liked Batman Begins more than the Dark Knight, because Batman Begins, it's not until the last 5 minutes that you're like, oh, it's a comic book movie. Right now they're holding on to it not being a comic book show on Lanterns, but I think you'll like it.
So did you ever dive into Murderbot on Apple TV?
I did. I watched all of it, and I look forward to reading the book. My frustration is that because Murderbot didn't have a gazillion dollars, the production quality between the actual show Murderbot and the fantasy, terrible, low-budget show that they showed, depending on how you looked, very difficult to distinguish between the two of them. They didn't seem that far off from each other.
Or they just have very high production values in the future. Well, here's some of the casting for season 2. I feel like Apple might have decided this was worth investing in, because in season 2 of Murderbot, you're going to get Steve Buscemi, Wanda Sykes, Patton Oswalt, Martha Plimpton, Bridget Everett, Michael Sheen, Trammell Tillman, Blair Underwood, and Brendan Hunt. Among those, I'm sure there's at least 3 names that you went, huh, okay, no matter who you are listening.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, it's such a fun list of names that it almost makes me wonder if maybe this program just has a reputation for being fun to work on. Like, if you look at the all-star cast that shows up for an Adam Sandler movie, it's because he treats everybody well and they have a really good time, regardless of how good the actual movie is. Or it might be affection for the source material. I don't know.
Backrooms is coming to HBO Max starting September 25th. That is the hit theatrical release based on a hit YouTube series, now coming to streaming on HBO Max. And do you know what this made me think, Brian? I am back to living in relation to movies the way I did growing up. When I was growing up, we had one theater in town, and parents didn't really take us to see the movies all that often. So I saw the movies when they first showed up on broadcast television, interrupted by ads. I feel like I'm back in that world now, where I'm like, all right, Backrooms. I wanted to see that in the theaters, but I guess I can just wait until September 25th and see it on HBO Max, which it won't be interrupted by ads in that particular case, I guess, for me. But still, I'm back to like, I'm not the cool kid who saw it first in the theater.
You know, I guess we're also back to that in terms of when we were kids, we had 8-10 hours a day that we were, we didn't have a choice about what we did. We had brief pockets of freedom. And now we're back to that. And it's like, I wish I had time to watch all of the cool stuff on your TikToks and the whatnots.
Yeah. There's so much more entertainment available than there used to be. I don't think that gets talked about enough. A lot of what's going on is the fact that you are spoiled for choice. There is never a moment where you have to be bored. You've got Wi-Fi on the airplanes now. One of the last vestiges of like, well, I guess I'm just going to read a book or watch a TV show. But even then, you could read a book or watch a TV show. So yeah. We also got casting for the RoboCop TV series. RoboCop will be played by Dan Stevens. You might know him for Downton Abbey. You might know him from Legion. But he is going to be RoboCop now on the Amazon Prime Video show.
I'm stoked about it. Did you ever watch Legion, Tom?
Oh, yeah. I watched Legion.
I thought it was great. The moment I can't get enough of Dan Stevens, except for I can't be bothered to watch Downton Abbey.
Yeah, well, spoiler, he gets killed after like a couple seasons of Downton Abbey. So you wouldn't have to watch that many of them. Yeah. Poor Matthew. And now you're like, what? Matthew dies? How dare you go? It's been out for a decade. All right. Finally, HBO's Harry Potter had to recast Gilderoy Lockhart after their original choice had to leave the series for scheduling reasons. And Jon Snow is going to be Gilderoy Lockhart. Kit Harington has been cast, following up on him voicing Gilderoy Lockhart in the Audible production of the Harry Potter series. So he's already kind of played him. I mean, I guess he has played him, just not visually, only audio, but it can complete the set now.
That's a good fit, and it suggests to me, like, buy stock in Kit Harington. Like, if he's able to land this role, like two iconic roles, you're heading into possibly a very good couple of decades in Hollywood.
There is all of that mixed feeling about the Harry Potter show, and I can't yet tell how much it's going to affect its popularity. But there are plenty of people who don't like J.K. Rowling, and then there's debate over whether that means you can't like this show or not. And it's one of those things it's hard to tell until the numbers come in how much of an effect that will have.
It's a brand new battle, Tom. The debate between the art and the artist. Do they go together? This is the first time this argument is happening.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about the fact that I liked Frank Sinatra's music, but maybe I didn't always like what he did as a person.
Oh.
Huh. Yeah.
And that's the
Bing
only
Crosby
example
wasn't really
we can
nice.
think of.
Yeah. No, I'm just, trying to think of more recent examples. All right, let's move on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Buried treasure is the section of the show we talk about something we have watched or are watching so that you might be able to add it to your to-watch list. Brian, what you got?
Dude, I got recommended to go in blind to an anime re-release of a show called Your Name. And specifically, it's like going in blind, that's a big ask. And also I was told, bring the family. Now, my kids are pretty into anime. And so I went as
Sounds
far
like
as
social engineering when you put it that day. Like, don't look, bring the family, trust me.
Well, I peeked in, and the reviews were overwhelmingly positive. So I was like,
Okay.
you know what? I trust this person, and I'm ready to go. And so we went to the movie, and the subs versus dubs. The dubs were rumored to be quite good. Tom, I watched Your Name, and I almost can't talk about it without my voice cracking. It's
Really?
great. It's great. And I'll give you, I'll stop. If you trust me
It's
enough,
a
then just,
10-year-old anime, so it was re-released into theaters, right?
yeah. Skip ahead if you don't want a mild pitch for what it's about. But 5 minutes in, like, you see this over the top intro opening, and there's hints like, okay, there's connective thread between two people, but they're away and time is passing. Okay, it's some kind of entanglement. 5 minutes in, the first thing that happens is a girl wakes up, grabs her chest, and looks in the mirror and is amazed that she's in a girl's body. And you're like, is this a body swap movie? It's two people who get introduced to each other because every few days they swap bodies. So they have to establish ground rules. They have to figure out do's and don'ts. They have to learn each other's lives, and they write in the diary. But because it's got dream logic, the connection, the logic fades over time. It is, and then really interesting stuff happens. That's all I'm going to say. I felt so hard during this movie. I loved it. Please go see Your Name. It's great.
Fantastic. I am going to mention a thing I'm watching that is nowhere close to that good. But Futurama is in the middle of its current season. And I have to say, I figure I have to check in on it because I watch it every season. And so at some point I let you know how I'm feeling it. Usually my remarks on Futurama are along the lines of, if you like Futurama and you want more Futurama, watch. If you tried Futurama in the past and never liked it, it didn't change.
Ask
It's
your
still
doctor
Futurama.
if Futurama is right for you.
Futurama is right for you. The most recent episode, though, was about Ticketmaster. And so I was like, oh, they're actually veering a little more into current events than they usually do. This is a little more down that South Park trail. And they just nailed some stuff. They called it Ticket Mistress. And of course, it was run by Mom and Mom's Corporation. And not to be too spoilery, but they took the risk of defending Ticket Mistress at one point. to a point where they like had Ticketmistress have some reasons for doing things that are definitely not the reasons Ticketmaster does them. But you're like, well, but if they did, that's actually a pretty good reason. Like you're helping the world. And then I was like, okay, now I'm on the edge of my seat. What are our heroes going to do now? And if you want to find out, watch the most recent episode of Futurama. But it was like, okay, Futurama stepped up its game in its 75th season here, and still Futurama, still fun, still the same jokes. Like playing with some of their memes. Like having the professor come out and say, "Good news, everyone," and then immediately go, "I don't remember what it was though, because I'm an old man." I seem to say that a lot, having fun with it. But anyway, Futurama. That's my take on it so far in the current season, available on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Now, Tom, normally this is the part of the program, because it's an odd episode, where I get to plug a project I'm working on. But
odd in the fact that it's episode 615.
Yes, correct.
Not odd then that
anything is
weird.
Unusual outside of your two real co-hosts, Molly Wood and Justin Robert Young, are doing.
Right. Still 15 years away.
But I am feeling magnanimous, and so I yield my advertising plug time. And instead, I just want to know, Tom, is there anything that you'd like to recommend? Any content that you've consumed that you just really like?
Well, so like obviously we just did the TV and movie section. So anything else, I'm reading some good books, listen to I listened to a really, really good podcast this morning on my dog walk. It was part 2 of a podcast that was about. Have you ever heard of Princess Caribou?
I might have heard about it.
It would be weird if you hadn't, because you were the host of the podcast that was telling me about her. World's Greatest Con Part 2 dropped today. I immediately put it at the top of my to listen list and was not disappointed. The current 2-part series is about Princess Caribou. And I should probably hand it over to you to make the elevator pitch of what the story is about. But I was not disappointed. Couldn't wait to hear how Brian brought it home, because at the end of part 1, Princess Caribou is unmasked. And I'm like, what else is there to tell? It turns out quite a bit. And a lot of it involved leeches. So go check it out. World's Greatest Con in the podcatcher of your choice.
You know what? You nailed it. 10 out of 10.
Well, thank you. Let's move on to Scan the Horizon then.
Send a scanning crew aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
Oh, things are heating up in the world of YouTube. Bloomberg saying its sources are telling it that YouTube has gone to some of its largest creators, some of whom, like Stephanie Sue, have taken big checks to go put some stuff on Netflix, and said, how about we give you multi-million-dollar packages not to put your stuff on Netflix? You just keep doing what you're doing, but you do it only here on YouTube. The offers reportedly take 3 forms: either directly financing your show, saying, keep doing your show, we'll pay for it. Hope maybe it gets better. Giving a share of the platform-wide brand deals. So in other words, saying, we're not going to directly fund you, but we will cut you in on more of the ad action, and get you some of that upfront cash that YouTube negotiates for. And in exchange, creators agree to exclusive windows. I don't think YouTube is usually saying never take it anywhere else. I think YouTube's saying, we'll give you some more money if you don't take it to Netflix or Disney Plus or anywhere else for at least a couple of months. Let it premiere here, maybe a couple of weeks. And if you don't take it, you might not be in the next YouTube marketing push. I'm just saying. We have major events. We have some platform brand campaigns. We like to throw our favorites in there. If you don't take several $1 million from us, you're not our favorite anymore.
I very much look forward to having that problem of being trapped by golden play button cufflinks is what I look forward to having.
But I think the significant thing for viewers is this is a real thing. When Netflix has been signing not just podcasters, but YouTubers as well, and you've seen YouTube folks take their content beyond just Netflix to other platforms as well. YouTube is not brushing it off as like, yeah, it won't work. They'll be back. YouTube is like, ooh, that could start to eat into some of our bigger numbers. So that means it's worth it for Netflix and others to cut those checks.
What it reminds me of is the catch and kill stories where what was it? The National Enquirer would get a story, they would buy the rights to it, and then they would go to the person it was about and say, we're going to publish this unless you want to if you want to buy the rights to the story from us, then you will not be in the headlines. And that's kind of what this feels like to me.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit like that, except instead of restricting content, it's just reserving.
Well, and they just don't want to see yet
platform.
another headline that begins Netflix acquires or so-and-so gets paid.
I mean, there is an argument that if you see a Stephanie Sue, let's just use her, for example, a YouTuber on Netflix, you might start watching her stuff on YouTube more often, right? Especially in that case where it's different content. And I think that is key. It has to be different content. It sounds to me like YouTube is like, yeah, but that works in theory. In practice, we just rather have all the traffic and not lose any of it at all. New York Times now reporting that it also has heard what the Wall Street Journal said it had heard back in July, that Netflix is considering offering add-ons. Times reporters got a couple of names saying that Netflix has been kicking around Peacock or Fox One as possible things you could add on to Netflix. We had a good conversation about this when the Wall Street Journal reported it. But yeah, the idea of Netflix deciding, do we want to be a platform the way Amazon Prime or Apple TV or Roku is a platform that you add your subscriptions to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, same story as the Wall Street Journal, just Peacock and Fox One, apparently what Netflix is considering, and they're still considering. They haven't decided.
I'm interested, partly because there is the one question of whether or not they want to be the provider of those things, but also whether or not those properties are ready to be just stubs, sub-brands, vassals, lieutenants underneath some other master.
Yeah, there's the question of, does Netflix want to pollute its brand with other types of content? If they do bring Peacock in, do they just put it in the rows next to Netflix content, or they make a tab? Do they ghettoize it and say, no, the Peacock content is over here? Or would they rather be the holdout? There's always room for one that's like, no, we are neither fish nor fowl. We are not just we are not a platform, but nor are we an add-on to others. We are our own thing. And Netflix probably is the only one that has enough cachet to be that.
Yeah.
ESPN announced that it will raise the price of ESPN Unlimited by $2, $30 to $32 a month. And ESPN Select, which is ESPN Plus, they changed the name when they launched the unlimited version. It's basically everything ESPN offers that isn't on cable TV. That one goes from $13 to $14 a month. This will also affect bundles. So if you have a bundle with ESPN Unlimited or ESPN Select, your bundle price will go up as well.
Yeah. I wonder how price sensitive. So previously, in the before times when we were talking about cable bundles, ESPN, if you're a sports person, then you were stuck on cable. And if you were a non-sports person and you were stuck on cable, then you were paying for other people's sports. And so we've seen over the last 15 years some interesting pokes and proddings over just how price sensitive and price elastic sports fans are. So like my gut reaction when you said $2 more, I'm like, what, are they going to not have the sports thing? But I don't know. Like, is there an alternative? What do you think, Tom?
I think a lot of times people think strangely about prices. People think about prices as we're the main character in the story about prices. And it's the price I pay was fair. And if you raise it, you're greedy. And that's not really the way it works. Generally, especially in streaming, the price at the beginning is lower than it should be. It's lower than you would pay because you haven't tried this before. We're not sure. Do I want to pay for a Netflix? I don't know. So you keep the price low to get people in the door. Well, it's only $5 a month. I'll give it a whirl and see if I like it. That is much lower than it should be. It's much lower than you would actually value it. Then you raise it once you've got enough people in the door to say like, okay, now we need to rationalize the price. We need to get the price to where it should be so we can actually be making the amount on this service that it needs to be and pay for the cost of all the stuff. If you reach the point where you realize what we're charging people is actually keeping them from getting in, they want to be in, but it's too expensive, then you need to stop. And what ESPN raising it from $30 to $32 tells me is that Disney thinks there are enough people banging down our door for ESPN Unlimited. I bet they'd swallow $2 more. Let's see. If they see it level out or decline, then they're not going to raise it again. They'll cut costs or do something else to keep it going. But man, sports is pricey, right? It is one of the most valuable things on the planet, like we talked about earlier. So it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah. I get all my sports news from the local bar and grill.
Yes, you do. I've been to that bar and grill. Amazon announced it will roll out its advanced voice assistant to all Fire TV devices in the U.S. for the price you love of free. No Prime membership necessary. That's right. You don't have to pay if you have a Fire TV device to get the most recent up-to-date LLM-powered voice assistant. It used to cost $20 a month for non-Prime members on all devices. It now costs $20 a month for non-Prime members on non-Fire TV devices. So if you have an Amazon Echo or something like that and you don't have Prime, then you have to pay extra for it. Otherwise, Fire TV device, you just get it. It's one of the features now.
It is objectively, more useful to be able to ask more nuanced questions and have it generally understand what you're up to or whatever. But this is one of those rollouts where it's like, you're welcome. The moment you say you're welcome, Brian's like, why? What are you giving me?
Yeah, no, my best guess on why is that the more capable voice assistant keeps people happier and buying things
ding, ding,
on
ding.
their Fire
Right.
TV devices.
Because when you don't end up in an argument over whether or not you need 5 pounds of MSG or just a tiny thing of MSG, then you're not buying MSG, which is definitely a thing that I did with Alexa.
MS Now, the former MSNBC, is launching a subscription service in September for $7.99 a month. The platform will feature original content, new verticals, shows about how news and politics impact your everyday life. It will also have 24/7 access to live streams and television programming from MS Now as well. Something they couldn't do before they were spun out into Versant. It's something that Peacock would have been like, no, you can't do that. We want people to do it through Peacock. Now that they're on their own, it is easier for them to make the argument to do this. And that's one of the reasons they launched it. They're kind of the last one of the big three. Fox has both Fox Nation and Fox One. The CNN live stream finally did launch, and there's CNN programming in HBO Max. So MS Now, late to the game, but finally has its own membership service.
Yeah. Rage on tap 24/7, just $7.99 a month.
Yeah, but it's a different flavor of rage.
Yeah. It's sourced from a different whatever. There's kosher and non-kosher rage.
Exactly. But this rage I like. All right, let's hold on for the chatter.
You got mail.
It is time once again to deal with this question. This time it comes from Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Hey, killers. What's that?
I was being nice before we read it. I said, thank you, Corey.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Corey. No, we get these from time to time, and they're all legitimate, well-meaning questions. Have you ever heard of and I'm going to redact the brand name in this particular case, it's a streaming box. I keep hearing about them, but none of the usual tech shows have ever mentioned them. Worth it? P.S. You will get a year of Patreon from me if you ever do Babylon 5. Challenge given. PPS, can't wait for the movie draft. Still love you, Corey. Thank you, Corey. I love the Babylon 5 challenge. Does the full experience count?
Yeah.
Will you give us? Yeah. Will he give us a year of Patreon if we do full experience? Babylon 5?
You know what? Maybe he'll turn the full experience back on. It's be like, yeah, I'll give you 4 weeks of patronage. You could have a whole year of it.
As to the brand name redacted that you keep hearing about, this is actually perfectly phrased. If you ever find yourself saying this, I discovered this Android streaming box. I keep hearing about it, but not on the tech shows. Why? It's because it's probably not legit. I'm not saying the one that you sent us is definitely not legit, but anything that says you can live stream things for free, anything that if you can't live stream things for free that you would otherwise pay for, has no features that differentiate it from a Roku or a Google TV, it's probably a weaponized China botnet.
Well, and that's the other thing is mostly people are like, oh, the reason they're not talking about it is because it's gray market, because it allows you to access pirated content. That must be they keeping this good idea down. No, fresh coming back from DEF CON, we found out that a lot of these boxes are hardwired to be zombie botnets that actually have participated in cyber terror attacks. So quite literally, in one case, you heard about the water being disrupted. They found one of the boxes in the break room at one of those places. So it's literal state-powered weaponry. And maybe this one isn't as bad or whatever, but whatever it is, if it's cheap and you're getting stuff for free, that's because somebody you think Brian bristled at the Fire TV upgrade. Boy,
right.
hold my Roku streaming stick.
Then I want to go back to 2011 to an email that was sent to Frame Rate Show, the predecessor of this show. Darren wrote, "Hello, gents. I'm a lifelong nerd, born in 1971, and as such, I should be the prototypical Star Wars fan. However, I have never seen any of the Star Wars movies. So now I find myself a 40-year-old Star Wars virgin. Other than the obvious parts, Vader's Luke's father, Jar Jar sucks, I really don't know much of anything about the movies. So this should be a largely unspoiled experience. How do you recommend I watch these films? I can borrow a recent DVD collection of all 6 movies. Do I watch them in theatrical order, chronological order, or do I bust out my VHS player and just watch the first trilogy from an original release box set that I picked up at a consignment store and forget about anything that came after? Opinions, please." Now, 15 years ago, we gave opinions. We heard from Darren again, literally 10 years to the day and +2 from that original email to cordkillers@gmail.com. Darren wrote, "Guys, I wrote to you 10 years ago when you were still the Frame Rate Show. At the time, I'd just turned 40 and hadn't seen any of the Star Wars movies. I wanted your opinion on which order to watch them. Brian's desire for science was that I should start with The Phantom Menace and watch them in chronological order. Shortly thereafter, I sat down to watch The Phantom Menace. My experience was disappointing, to say the least. I was actually so bored and irritated I didn't finish the film. I'm sorry, Brian. I wasn't strong enough. With my recent 50th birthday, I'm making a pledge to break out the old VHS tapes and give the original trilogy a chance. Maybe this old cord heart can identify with something that should have been part of my childhood all along." Now, some of you have probably guessed why we have read an email from 2011 and 2021, because almost 10 years to the day, plus a couple of weeks. This week, we heard from Darren again. Actually, it's 5 years. 5 years, not 10. He says, "Hey, guys, it's been 5 years since my last update to you. For science, I decided to appease Brian and follow his suggestion. Earlier this year, I forced myself to watch the prequel trilogy. It was a chore, but I finally completed it after several days. With the exception of a few rare moments of entertainment, I really did not enjoy the experience. Its worst sin was that it was boring, and I mostly did not care about any of the characters. Then, this past week, I finally watched the original trilogy, 1995 VHS tapes before the special editions. They were fine. A well-constructed space adventure story, to be sure, much better than the prequels, but I fear that the taste left in my mouth from the prequels, plus almost 5 decades of building up my expectations, resulted in a mostly meh reaction from me. So there you go. I'm a virgin no longer, but I'm also still not a fan of the series. Sorry, Darren Best.
Darren, I have wonderful news for you. Whatever that bad taste in your mouth is, I guarantee you can wash it clean and have the most delightful, delicious taste in your mouth with a new product I like to call Andor. Ask your podcasters if Andor is right for you. Side effects may include continuing to try to see if Rogue One holds up. It will not. But Andor, 10 out of 10. Yeah, if you're feeling it scientific, go all the way. Watch Andor.
Andor not available on VHS. I guess unless you dub it. No, Darren, that is fantastic. Thank you for persisting through 15 years of this. Very much appreciated. Let's get to Mike, who says, I'm listening to this week's episode where you joke about Coco and whether ghosts were allowed in China. A few days ago, I came across this video on TikTok explaining how Coco was unexpectedly allowed to be shown in China, since there are strict rules about showing ghosts or spiritual beings in movies. Turns out the overlap in culture about honoring elders and remembering your ancestors resonated in China. Thank you, Mike, for the follow-up on that. That's great. Dave in Waco wrote, complaining about AI on YouTube. Good news, Dave. They are labeling AI on YouTube. If you haven't seen it yet, you'll see it soon. The other trend that he didn't like is shorts. He said, I never want to see a short for any subject. I never use my phone to watch YouTube. And if I do, it's once or twice a year. I watch it in landscape mode. I stopped watching pan and scan movies decades ago and see no reason to have that kind of programming in my feed. I've never used TikTok. I never will. I would like to have the option to never see another short. Good news. You can hide them using your remote. When you encounter a short, or even a shelf of shorts on your TV's home feed, highlight the video, press and hold the OK or select button, or press the 3 dots more options button. It's going to be different on different TVs. Then select not interested or don't recommend channel. Repeating this across a few videos will signal the algorithm to stop injecting shorts into your main TV feed. You can also just browse outside the home feed. You won't see shorts when you go to the other menu items there, but that may or may not work for you. You may need that home feed. So really telling it like, I don't want to see this anymore. It will start to get the idea and stop putting shorts onto that home feed for you.
W. Scottus 1
I know
chat.
you shouldn't have to work to do it, but at least there's a solution.
W. Scottus 1 in the chat, where everyone should be every Tuesday, mentions that if you are on desktop, you're only one browser extension away from removing shorts from all of YouTube.
Yeah, there's actually easier ways to do it on mobile. You can like set your view time to 0 seconds. You just can't do it on a TV. And he said, I never do it on mobile or desktop. So yeah. Finally, Adam says, hey, Tom and Brian, I noticed something interesting while watching a movie on cable television. I have DirecTV Stream. He's clarifying. It's not old-fashioned cable. It's new-fashioned cable. In this case, it was TBS, but I've experienced this on a couple of channels. Several commercial breaks actually had no commercials to show. They just displayed a static image that a commercial break was in progress while playing some generic music. This made me wonder, have we reached peak ad life? Do we actually have so many ads now in so many places that we don't have enough to go around? Or could TBS just not find relevant ads at the rates it wanted for this time slot? Something else. Curious what you think, as I've never encountered this in all of my decades of cable TV watching, but now I've seen it happen 3 or 4 times in just the last couple of weeks.
I have a theory on this, Tom, and you can
I have
tell
the
me.
answer on this.
Oh, great. Okay, so my theory, without knowing for sure, is this is an indication. Normally, whether in radio, if they don't have ad slots sold, oftentimes they'll put provided ads from the ad council. That's why you'll hear late night radio programs advertising trees like you're not against
It's
like
a public service announcement, right? Yeah,
exactly right. On extended cable back in the aughts, if they couldn't sell inventories, they would sell ads. They would just run ads for the channel that you're watching. So when you're in the middle of watching the science channel, they're like, science, there should be a channel. There is. And then they would show that same ad every single break. So what you're seeing, this kind of default an ad goes here image, that is an indication of, because everything is so fractured now, for every fracture, that's a gap that needs to be spackled. And you need somebody to take responsibility for spackling all those gaps. And at some point, everything is just so splintered that they have understaffed and they have under-spackled all of that. And so you got the worst of all situations, which is essentially a public announcement of incompetence. Does that sound right, Tom?
Yeah, that's part way. That's part way there. Nothing you said was wrong. There's some additional information I can throw in there. This only happens in the what's called the local avails section of DirecTV channels. If you are watching that same TBS channel on Comcast, you would not see that. What you would see are ads sold by Comcast to run there. The reason DirecTV is putting up a thing that says, we'll be right back, is because they don't have ads to run there, and they're not allowed to show the other ads when they don't want to show the other ads because it'd be giving away free advertising. So they're like, we don't have an ad to run here, so we're just going to tell you we'll be right back. Now, why don't they have an ad to run there? There's a few reasons. One is they're charging too much, or they're charging more than the advertisers are willing to pay, but they don't want to lower it because they think they can get it. They're like, the advertisers are coming in more and more. The other reason is they don't know enough about you. If you're a newer DirecTV stream user, even like year or two, they may be like, we really need to deliver this to the exact demo they bought, and we don't know that you're that demo yet. So we're just not going to show you anything. It also could be that you watched too much television. If you've watched a lot of television, they've been like, well, we showed Adam all the ads that are targeted to Adam today. So I guess we just show him the blank screen now. Any of those things or a combination of them explain it. And as a platform gets more popular, it happens less. You don't see it happen as much. And if you don't watch as much, it happens less because there's a combination of that. So I also have DirecTV Stream. I used to see this happen all the time, but I think DirecTV has figured me out. And it's a rare occasion where I'm like, oh, wait, I'm getting the we'll be right back message today. I guess I watched a lot of television today. And eventually, if DirecTV Stream were to become incredibly popular, they would have enough advertising interest that they would always be able to fill a slot. And I also do see a lot of advertisements for trees. That's the other thing. And maybe in your market, they're not doing that. In my market, I see a lot of like advertisements for Lyme disease or the Care Council or, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, they're out of ads right now. Got it. Okay. So there you go, Adam. It's not that we've reached peak ad. It's almost the opposite. It's DirecTV hasn't got popular enough to keep the pipes rolling in.
Yeah.
Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live at twitch.tv/nightattack, youtube.com/modernrogue. Tuesdays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Be here, 2:30 p.m. Pacific for the chat. And I reckon we'll chat with you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I'm going to get more coffee.
I'm going to pop
Tom.
some tags.
That was a good one.
Thank you. That was a good show. Yeah. I enjoyed it too.
We should do it again sometime.
Mama say knock you out.
Does she though?
I'm just reading the DTNS Discord when I should be paying attention to you out there. Welcome into our hearts. We're about to do the full experience in a minute. The highest ranked episode of Get Smart on IMDb. Therefore, the best episode of Get Smart, called A Spy for a Spy. That is the full experience episode for this week. And if you're like, what's the full experience? Full experience stands for first, ultimate, lowest, last. We watch 4 episodes of a TV series and then see, do we feel like we can talk about it as if we had watched the entire thing? First, last, that's obvious. Ultimate, lowest, those are based on the IMDb rankings. IMDb rankings are based on the ratings given by the people who visit IMDb. IMDb stands for Internet Movie Database and was the very first website I ever went to. I was at Gerald's house,
it was the
and
first
he was on his
site that our
Mac.
favorite did.
I believe it was 1990. When did it launch? I don't want to go to imdb.com. I was in Austin, Texas. I was at Gerald's house. He had a Mac, and he's like, have you seen IMDb? I'm like, what is IMDb? And he pulled it up on his Mac. It launched in 1990, but it was the web version of it. So when did they
It originally wasn't graphic based. It was just text based, right?
Yeah. It was a personal database hosted by a film enthusiast. He had actually started it on his own machine in 1987. And then he added it to Usenet. Yeah, 93, it moved onto the World Wide Web. So it was after 1993 that I was at Gerald's house. I don't remember. It was 93 or 94. I'm going to guess. Probably 94.
Oh, yeah. 94. They had some good movies that year.
They did. That was one of the best years for movies I hear. There was one about Princess Caribou.
The quiz show.
I believe Gerald lived on West Street in downtown Austin. And that is where that is my story of visiting IMDb, the very first website I ever visited.
Really?
Yep.
So in your mind, IMDb was the first website ever.
Yes.
Like that's where the internet
Before
started.
that, I only knew Gopher and Usenet.
Usenet. Wow.
See, Forrest Gump, Lion King, True Lies, The Santa Claus, The Flintstones, Dumb and Dumber, Clear and Present Danger, Speed, The Mask, and Pulp Fiction.
Those are
Top 10
94s?
movies, 1994. Yep.
Wow.
Forrest Gump and Lion King, I knew because I saw them both in theater, and that was rare for me when I lived in a small town in Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, West Avenue. He lived on West Avenue. Downtown Austin.
I want to apologize.
I'm going to lobby for a plaque to be put up on that house on West Avenue that says Tom Merritt visited his first website in this house.
You know what? just go put the plaque on. I guarantee you nobody will take it down. Like Andrew Heaton slept in a room here on campus and put a plaque up.
Yeah.
I'm never going to take it down. It just says Andrew Heaton slept here.
So I'll be honest. If the house is still a rental, which it was back then, you're probably right. I could probably just show up in coveralls. Like, yeah, they told me to put this up, and nobody. And then someday the landlord would come and look at it and like, I wonder why the tenant put that up there.
Yeah.
But they probably won't mention it. And then everyone will assume that it's just supposed to be there. If it's somebody's house that they own and they live in it, then it might not. It might take a little more explaining to make it stick.
Yeah, but you know what you could do is you could put it like on the curb, and then they'll assume it's a state thing.
Yeah. If you put it in a public area, that would make it sing. All right, we ready to get smart?
Yeah.
Wyatt Earp.
You ready?
Ready.
Welcome to The Full Experience. This is a show where we watch the first, ultimate, lowest, and last episode of a television series to see if we can kind of get the sense that we watched the entire thing. We are in the middle of watching Get Smart, the ultimate episode. That means it's the highest ranked episode according to the visitors to imdb.com. The episode is A Spy for a Spy, which first aired October 1st, 1966. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man. So, I liked this one quite a bit. And then I was like, yeah, because it's the highest rated one, Brian. But then Brian's head said, so little happened. And then I thought, yeah, because it's a vibe. That's what it is. You smell, like at the first comment, you're like, it's going to be a runner. It's going to be escalation. It's going to be this. And then it takes 5 minutes to go through the bit. Do you mind it? No, not at all. It's a vibe. It's great. It's a good episode.
Yeah. My theory after watching these two episodes, the pilot episode and A Spy for a Spy, is that there's probably not a lot of variation between the ultimate and the lowest episode of Get Smart. They, like you say, you're going to get an and loving it. You're going to get a, would you believe 30? You're going to get a shoe phone joke. It's on rails. You know where you're going, but they're so good at it that you don't care. The only things I even really noted were the fact that it starts with a magician getting killed. And I only noticed that because you're a magician. So I'm like, oh, I wonder what Brian thinks about the magician getting iced at the beginning. No, I didn't even care to wonder what you thought of the magic, because I'm like, it's Get Smart magic. I'm sure it's not meant to be very good.
Oh, no. I actually loved that because I used to resent it growing up that whenever magic was the subject, there was like a canonical set of crappy magic tricks that you had to feature. And now I understand how else can you convey magic in literally 3 seconds? It's got to be the caned silk, and it's got to be, the flowers showing up and all that. So
the old gun and the rabbit trick was a nice take on the old rabbit in the hat trick.
I thought that was hilarious that they did an obvious photography trick. And it's like, that makes no sense. And then he raises his hands. I went back and re-looked because I'm like, did they bother to even put gizmos in his hands to do the flash? There was one of the items I got in my senior year. No, when I first got into Magic, 1995, I bought secondhand from a magic auction something called a FISM flash that literally was the element from a flash bulb that you put inside your shirt behind your white button-down tuxedo shirt, and then you taped it on there, and there's a little foot switch that clicked it so that you could have a momentary flash of light. So the fact that they bothered to have gizmos in his hands, I don't think that product existed back then. I think that was fanciful Hollywood magic that later became an actual product.
An actual real thing.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Really, the only other notes I had were historical anachronisms. Not anachronisms at the time, but things that like, that's interesting that was a current joke then. The allusion to like, did you call the boss? No, he's at the ranch and it's roundup time. I'm like, oh, yeah, LBJ was still in office and he was probably at the ranch.
Oh,
so that's a joke about the president.
I
get
that. Wow.
Yeah. So they were casting shade on President Johnson. We also have a German World War joke, which is a joke that I feel like people would be, ooh, I don't know if we should make that joke today, but it's being made by people who in living memory fought the Germans. And you're like, this is why you lost the war, which also made me wonder like, I wonder why they didn't go Russian. Instead, they went German with the evil chaos guy.
Yeah, and this would have been around the same time that Star Trek, the original series, was being progressive by putting a Russian on the bridge to signal a post-Cold War humanity. My guess is Get Smart would want to take the under and not engage with anything actually hot button because I guess in recent memory, you're dealing with the very real, very unfunny Red Scare. So that makes sense. Like it's a safe bad guy that we're all over at the time.
It could be an East German, in which case they are communists, or it could just be a German. And you're like, yeah, Germans used to be the enemy. There's still a little of that aroma around Germans. And then there's the, what was the other one I saw? There was another bit. Oh, the Greyhound joke at the end. We'll leave the spying to us. A joke that no one under 40 is going to get. That Greyhound, leave the driving to us was a big ad campaign.
I didn't
from the
get
60s
that.
through the 80s. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I did like the one-upsmanship. One of my favorite bits is the adversaries who get lost in geeking out over something and then forget that they're adversaries. Like the third beat of, I don't have one of those. Well, I brought another. You can have a switchblade. And then, it's like the whole...
Here, you could have mine. Control issued that? Of course not. I had to get this myself.
Yeah, from a local dealer and so on.
Yeah. No, it was a solid episode, start to finish. They're short.
It occurred to me, like, if I want to ding it, it's only for the fact that so many of the jokes were repeats, but this is a time where there was no way to see something after its air date. So essentially, imagine if you just played a show once and then you're making jokes on the playground and you don't get the jokes. It's like, I want to see the show so I could be in on the jokes. So you got to repeat them all again. I mean, it's sort of like
at least the best ones. And honestly, even though we're watching it on demand, I'm like, those are the classics. I play the hits. I want to hear Ed loving it. I want to hear Would You Believe. I'm grading on a very hard scale when I say this. The only part that felt a little lazy for Get Smart was, Chief, we need to hide your identity. And then the magician's like, come up on stage, and they're encouraging him, go up stage, Chief. Either they feel like they needed to hang a hat on it of like, no, that's a stupid idea. You just told him he needs to hide his identity, and they didn't work hard enough to sell that bit, or you don't do it. But that's honestly like, it didn't even matter. I forgot about it after I wrote it down.
I would say yes to noticing internal logic, but I think it passes it's vaudeville physics at that point.
Totally. Yeah. And then 99 being jealous of Varenka or whatever
it was delightfully old school where it's like, I spoke
very
to
old
so-and-so
school, yeah.
and it's just like, she's a liar, whatever. Like, I don't know. That's sort of its time.
But we did sort of establish chemistry with them in the pilot episode. So, it may be more than just women are always jealous of each other. Maybe 99 really has feelings for Max. That's all I got. Problem with Get Smart is it's just so consistent.
It's the first episode that we saw in color. I guess only the pilot was in black and white. And
that's right.
I did find myself a note for me to do, or if anybody wants to do this at home, is in the end credits stuff. I stuck around to watch the end credits, and I noticed, like, in the opening credits, they very clearly have a real trap door that they just drop him down. And he looks kind of badass because he doesn't flinch as he gets trap door down through the phone booth. They throw him up. It's so fast how they throw him up. I'd be really curious how they did that, because he also
is it
pops
just reversed?
Up. The problem is it's a continuous shot, as he marches forward. He pops up and then lets himself out. So he would have to do all that backwards. So it's
Backwards,
I'd be curious how all of that worked.
Yeah. Yeah. If anybody knows, cordkillers@gmail.com. Amos, our producer, has been watching Get Smart along with us.
Yeah. Did you
probably
suddenly get
check
disappointed in all this?
Nope. Loved it.
All right. Thanks, Amos.
I really enjoyed all the things that you said, but they ended on the beat of Max still losing. And I thought this was like a trend of other episodes. Maybe it's just not in the pilot, where even at the end, like, yeah, everything worked out right, but we don't have a bus driver. Like there's always that like yeah, everything's fine, but there's still that one way that's like, oh man, if you were smart,
missed it by that much.
Yeah,
which we didn't get in this episode. So not every joke is in every episode.
Yeah. But no, this beat for beat was really fun, and I enjoyed it. I sat here and watched it and was like kind of in a hurry, so I like had to stop and let me pay attention. And it went through, and it was just a blink and it was gone, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I could move on with my day. Like, this is exactly what I loved about the show growing up. That's why I bought the season instead of just buying the single episodes. This is great. Just put it on. You don't have to pay attention to it. It's fun. The same beats every time.
Alone in a room, I barked out laughter out loud at one bit, and it's the cut to the two of them alone in a room saying, well, we both captured all of each other's agents, which I thought was just hilarious. I'm like, that was the whole idea. They bothered to figure out the rest of the episode to do that moment, which I thought was cute.
Yeah. And, of course, the idea that they would just go ahead and give them all back. The whole point would be to capture all the agents, right?
I liked it when they almost were baseball trading into cash bonuses and stuff. Right. Like, I'm like, are they doing a thing where Maxwell Smart is like a shrewd negotiator? They're like, no, he just got lost in the weeds.
Yeah. It's just baseball trades.
Yeah, at one point you wanted to I'll trade you your mechanic for our mechanic plus $10,000 cash.
Yeah. Well, right, because the one mechanic is a lot more experienced than your mechanic. So, yeah. What are you expecting for the worst episode then? It's Ice Station Siegfried. 3 years later, 1969 episode we're headed to.
This is where I get to put on my prediction hat based on the data that we've gotten before. I'm just going to bet that this is an episode where they tried something other than what we expect Get Smart to be.
They leave the formula.
Or a clip show.
This is the final season of Get Smart as well, so maybe they're
clip
stretching.
Show, maybe?
Ooh. Like Ice Station Siegfried. He passes out in the ice station and remembers good times.
Or they're trapped in an ice station and they're like...
and they tell each other stories. Yeah. Could be that.
I'm going to say it's outdoors, and that ruins some of the playfulness they can do with, because so far all their sets have been obviously sound stages.
Right.
And I think this can be outdoors. I think it's going to be a little bit of it's not going to be the normal episode.
Okay. They go to an unusual shooting location and that messes with the magic.
Could be.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't have Maxwell Smart in it.
Here's the big question that we have to ask is whether or not we give a special exemption and after the last episode throw a one-off to watch the made-for-TV movie with the nude bomb, because that was such a cultural moment.
I remember being so excited to watch the nude bomb, and then that was maybe the first time in my life I was disappointed by a thing that I had been that excited for. I was like, it was okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we should see. Maybe I'll love it now that I'm older. I'm like, oh yeah, no, there was a bunch of stuff I didn't get when I was 13 years old or whatever it was. That's the next episode, folks. Ice Station Siegfried from December 19th, 1969. Go and watch it on your streaming platform of choice. We've been buying them individually or in seasons. You can also get them on DVD, and you get these episodes earlier, and even, I think, cooler, you get to hear our thought process as we decide what to watch. Next week, we're going to have to start figuring out what to watch after Get Smart. Even if we do the Nude Bomb, we're going to have to figure out what to watch after that. So get After Talk. That is the behind the scenes show that only goes to patrons at patreon.com/Cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, live people. We'll be back with Great Night later on.
Even if you're dead, thank you.
Yep.